boxing fans, are you ready?
Welcome to Big Boys Boxing, where we're all about exactly that, the big boys. So without further ado,
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
What up, team? Welcome back to Big Boys Boxing. Yes, we've got a Monday streaming finally. Kids are back at school. I'm free, born free, as free as the wind blows. So, pretty happy. Get the kids out of my hair after a couple of weeks, as you can tell. So, over the weekend, we had a fair bit of action for the heavyweights and a few other bits here and there, but as per usual, let me get a link up for anybody who may like to jump on and have a yarn, and I'll pin that to the top for y'all. There we go, and I better go and get straight into the chat myself before I forget to get in there. Boom, I am in there. Alright, so if anybody wants to jump on, just click on that link. It'll shoot you over to Discord. If you haven't got a Discord account, it's simple to sign up. Email, password, confirm the email, done. And you've got another social media platform. And, of course, I do a lot of stuff over on Discord. We run fight parties over there. We have a few text channels that we conversate in. There's a boxing channel there. It's all good. Good to see you in Popcorn Boxing. What a weekend, eh? What a weekend. So, I guess, without further ado, well, actually, while you're here, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon for future content so you don't miss anything in future. So, Deontay Wilder gets a first round knockout over Robert Helenius. I didn't quite expect it to be that fast. However, I did have some suspicions when I saw Deontay Wilder in the open workout looking slim back down to where, in my opinion, he should be. And he was looking fast. So, ooh, this is possibly bad news for Robert Helenius. And also, I've always had a bit of faith that Robert Helenius hits damn hard. But in my opinion, he chose the wrong tactics in this fight. He did take some advice from Tyson Fury about putting Deontay Wilder on the back foot, because he can't box on the back foot, so as Tyson says. But at the same time, when Tyson Fury was doing it, he was getting his feet into position before he punches, right? So he's leaning back a little bit, getting his feet in close enough. Robert Helenius was lunging in before he was in range, and how quick Deontay Wilder is when he's down at 214 pounds. Kind of left himself open big time to get caught, and that last, at 2 minutes and 57 seconds at the end of the last round, Helenius lunged in, waving his hands around with his hands up, leaning forward, and walked straight onto a right hand. He was too reckless with trying to put Deontay onto the back foot, in my opinion, and he paid the price for it. So I expect it's probably going to be the end of the road for Robert Helenius. It'd be very disappointing for him. He's had a long career. He's been boxing for 25 years, and he's never managed to get himself a title shot. That was his goal. So we'll just see what happens with Robert, but I expect he will retire. What a knockout. Exactly. Robert Helenius, I'm afraid to say it, buddy, but
You got knocked
Yes, one more time. Classic Smokey from the movie Friday. Robert Hellenius.
You got knocked the fuck out.
Damn right, you got knocked the fuck out. Good to see you in, Phil. I'll move on in a sec. I'll just quickly cover any of these comments. G'day Popcorn Boxing. Hey man, what happened to Hemi? Yeah, I'm gonna get to that. Ahio looks like he lost his explosiveness. Well, yeah, I'll get to that one a couple more fights down. I thought he was employing a tactic against a particular opponent, but we'll get to that. We'll cover this PPC card first. There's a few other heavyweight fights on there, so like I said, if anybody wants to jump on, there is a link there. I'm already in the chat. Feel free to jump on and come and have a yarn about these fights. So we had Frank Sanchez taking on Carlos Negron, also on that PBC card, and we saw a side of Frank Sanchez, that I hadn't seen yet. He's a very good counterpuncher. He does very well when guys are coming at him, but I think he'd been given the word, you know, you're a bit boring for the professional game. You need to be a bit more aggressive so fans want to watch you. And he definitely tried that. He definitely didn't look anywhere near as good either. So, but he eventually got to Carlos Negron. Carlos Negron was actually doing pretty well. The first 3 to 4, maybe even 5 rounds, he was extremely competitive. He was taking some rounds. I was scoring live, but I wasn't writing my scores down. I think I had, in the first 5 rounds, I think I had Negron winning 3 of them. He was poking a jab out there. He was quite short on his jab a lot of the time, but he was putting out more volume than Frank Sanchez. That's to be expected with Sanchez. He's not usually a high volume fighter, but he was actually putting out at least twice as many punches as he usually does, trying to be aggressive, but it wasn't as effective. And you could see he was a little bit heavier as well. I can't remember his exact weight, but he needs to be 240 max. It was a little bit fleshy, and with throwing a few more punches, being aggressive, it was slowing down, and Negron was landing a few punches here and there, but Negron was also he was in pretty decent shape, but he seemed to be the one slowing once it got past round 5, and he eventually got to. He got put down once. I didn't think he was going to make the count. He was slumped through the ropes after he copped the big right hand. I was saying during the fight, Hannibal and I were in a fight party. It was like Sanchez pushes Negron back, and as soon as he gets to the ropes, Negron always exited with his head high to his right or to Sanchez's left. And I was saying, just throw the right hand to the body when you get him to the ropes, and then throw a left hook upstairs when he starts exiting, because he always goes exiting to the right, and he's always got his chin up. He was leading with the left hook now and then, but it wasn't quite the right, he's still got to set up that hook if he wants to land it. But anyways, we managed to put Sanchez down, put Negron down, and slumped him through the ropes. He did manage to get up and beat the count. He poured on a few punches again. Negron was trying to answer, but he was missing. And then Sanchez landed a couple of good shots, and the referee jumped in and stopped the fight in round 9. So Frank Sanchez moves on. His ranking can't improve much with the WBC, as he's pretty highly ranked already. He's looking for a title shot. He deserves it, but if he tries to be that aggressive against a person who's at the top of the division, basically not a Carlos Negron, I think Frank Sanchez will be in trouble. However, if he goes back to his counterpunching style against someone who's coming at him, I think he'll have a lot more luck. But he also needs to bring his weight down a bit as well, in my opinion. I think he's just a little bit fleshy. And you can see his feet were nothing like they usually were. And I'm putting that down to the extra weight maybe. Maybe he's trying to sit down on his punches and set his feet a bit more. I'm not sure, but his feet were definitely not there like they usually were. Wilder is back, baby, says T. He is back. Man, if Deontay Wilder had been down at around 214 pounds like he was, being that quick, his feet were a lot better. He was actually improved on his back foot game. I think he'd do better against Tyson Fury in that sort of shape, whereas he packed on that extra 20 odd pounds in both fights, both of the last two fights. So that's just too heavy, man. Too heavy. He's giving away his best attributes, so it is what it is. Yeah, good to have you in T for show. Right, the next one I wanted to mention on this card. Let me get back to it so I don't mess myself up. Where are we? Not Vito Malnicki. There it is. This Armenian Gurgen Havanesian took on Michael Polite Coffee, and he managed to get the stoppage in the 6th round of 8. Michael Polite Coffee, I was a bit high on him for a while when he was facing guys like Joey A. Bell and guys who weren't extremely, or really high, or averagely high skilled boxers, guys who come to fight. Michael Polite Coffee does pretty well against them. So this Gurgen Havanesian, I didn't know who he was, so all week I had been researching. There's a bit of footage around of him, and I haven't actually seen the Polite Coffee fight, to be honest, yet. It was on the PBC prelims show and I missed it. I've got to go and watch a couple of those. There's another awesome comeback fight to watch as well with James Evans and Giovanni Brujon. It's on YouTube, so I'm going to go and watch that after the stream. But what I discovered with researching this Gurgen Havanesian, he can actually box. He can box on the back foot. He moves his feet fairly well. He can move his head. Even looking at him, there's some things he does. He does like Tyson Fury. Now, he's also a big lump, not as big as Tyson Fury. He's 6'7". Michael Polite Coffee's 6'5". But from what I hear, Havanesian actually came at Michael Polite Coffee quite a bit. A little bit out of character. I did see Havanesian does throw heavy-handed punches in combinations. He does have his chin up a bit now and then, but if someone's coming at him, he's not too bad on the back foot as well. But he went at Michael Polite Coffee and threw a lot of punches, and Coffee wasn't able to counter him, wasn't able to do the work he does against people who come against him. I put it down to this Gurgen has a lot more skill than the guys that had come at Michael Polite Coffee in the past. I'm not sure how much longer Michael Polite Coffee will continue after this loss, if at all. He's taken 3 losses on the trot. Oh, no, it wasn't on the trot actually. He had one fight after he lost twice to Jonathan Rice, but against a nobody really, a guy who was 28-17. He got that win, but now he's lost again. He's not the youngest guy either. He's 36 years old, so he's gotten on TV, gotten a few fights under his belt, looked good in a few, but when it comes I mean, he doesn't really have much of an amateur background. I think he's got like 4 fights as an amateur or something, or 5 fights. So yeah, I had been picking Hovhannissian in this fight. I thought it'd go the distance, but like I say, I have to go and watch that fight yet. And he got stopped in the 6th round, so keep an eye out for this Gergen Hovhannissian. He's a new PBC fighter. He looks like he's going to be a bit of a fun fighter. He might sort of, like Boxing Squared said in his post-fight review, maybe he can fill the gap that Adam Kovnarski's kind of left, because Adam Kovnarski, after getting beat down twice by Robert Helenius, looks like he's about washed. But also, after Helenius gets knocked out in the 1st round against Wilder, you know, it makes you think, what kind of value is Adam Kovnarski going to give if he gets knocked out twice by this guy who got sparked by Wilder in 1 round? So, you know, just keep an eye out for this Hovhannissian guy. He's a fun guy to watch. I'll be keeping an eye out for him. And he moves on. He's now 4-0. So this other heavyweight fight on here between Giovanni Brujon and James Evans. I was picking Brujon to win this one by decision, and it was looking a little bit like that. This is another one I haven't actually seen, but I have heard a few post-fight reviews. Giovanni Brujon was winning the fight easily. He managed to put James Evans down, and then he tried to jump on him after he beat the count, threw a whole lot of punches, and Evans manages to catch him with one big shot, stumbling him backwards. You could see he was in real trouble. Evans threw the kitchen sink at him after this, and the referee stepped in and stopped the fight. So this is a huge comeback story for James Evans to come back and knock out Giovanni Brujon in the 3rd round. Or technical knockout, isn't it? So I had heard of James Evans. He was actually on the New Year's Day card on January 1st this year, fighting Stephen Torres, and he ended up being a bit of a draw on that. Well, not a bit of a draw, it was a split decision draw. 4 rounds. It was only a short fight. Now, I thought Evans actually won that fight, but you know, it is what it is. House fighter, sometimes when they're expected to win gets a little bit of favour. So yeah, definitely one to go and watch. Apparently it's on the PBC YouTube page. So I'll definitely be going to watch these 2 fights that I missed straight after the stream. Yeah, extremely interested in them. So let me get back to the chat, see what y'all are saying over here. What we got? Oh, Credit Guru in the house. Good to see you in, man. Hold us back, baby. I don't think we... Oh, here we go. Yeah, agree, Jono. Oh, that was about the Helenius tactics, I imagine you're agreeing with there. Okay, we've got nothing too much more new in there. Alright, so we get over to the Haney card. And yes, my favourite fighter took a loss. At the moment, Hemi Ahio has been my favourite fighter for a while. He's always an exciting fighter to watch, but man, he looked a bit out of sorts in this fight. Now, the first round was always going to be a bit of a feeling out round for Hemi. He tends to do that a little bit. We saw him do that against Christian Tsui, who incidentally had a split draw with Whainga Apilu, who just beat Hemi. So there was a few exchanges going on. Hemi's got a pretty good chin. I don't think Apilu's actually got that much power, but he does. He's a heavyweight. He hits hard enough, you know. He throws a lot of punches, particularly in the first 5 rounds. We've seen Apilu in the past be competitive in the first 5 rounds, even against Justice Huni. He was competitive. I think he got stopped on his feet in 7 after he gassed out, and Huni started pouring it on. But we also saw him against Lucas Brown. He was piecing Lucas Brown up for 5 rounds, big time. And then he gassed out, and Lucas Brown poured it on, landed a big shot, knocked him out. So, you know, it's like a blueprint for fighting of Whainga Apilu, or Django as they call him. You want to make him work, but you want to land a few shots at the same time in those first 5 rounds. Now I thought Hemi was, you know, trying to make Apilu punch, but Hemi's defense was not up to par early on in this fight. Usually he has his hands high when he's doing this sort of thing, and he moves his, you know, leans forward and moves his head when he's trying to get inside. He wasn't having to try and get inside because Apilu was coming straight at him all the time. Apilu was landing some awesome right hands over the top, landing some left hooks to set them up. He was using a jab, some good body shots. Hemi was trying to slip in some counters here and there. I thought Hemi just pinched the second round. There was a few shots in there. The third round was all Apilu again. Hemi was trying to land a couple of shots. There's a couple of times Hemi got tagged with the right hand and he stumbled backwards a little bit, but I don't think he was really hurt. Hemi's one of these guys who doesn't really mind taking a few shots. It kind of amps him up a bit. But by the end of the second round, Hannibal and I were watching it, and Hannibal pointed out, look, there's something wrong with Hemi. His jaw looks funny. And Hemi had lost the mouthpiece in the second round. They stopped the action to get the mouthpiece back in. He lost it again in the third round, and the referee told him, you do that again, we're going to take a point off you. But it looked like Hemi's jaw might have been busted or something, the way his jaw was hanging down low. It's not like he was, how do I put this? It's not like he was throwing a lot of punches enough to gas him out. But yeah, it just didn't look right. But at the same time, Hemi didn't look like he was hungry to try and knock Apilu out early. So I thought maybe he was trying to get Apilu to work for the first 4 or 5 rounds, and then start trying to pour it on in the second half. But it just wasn't going to happen with this referee. Yeah, it didn't look good. Oh, someone jumped on and then jumped off. Okie dokie. Catch you later then. So, yeah, in round 4, Whainga Apilu was still having some more success, setting up his right hand, landing some good shots. Credit to him, he wasn't backing up at all. He was backing Hemi up most of the time. But yeah, to me, Hemi just didn't look himself. But anyways, Apilu ended up backing Hemi up into the corner, landed maybe 2 good punches in a combination. Hemi was rolling a few and putting his guard up, but he wasn't holding his left hand up high enough when Apilu was in range. Apilu landed 1 big shot. Hemi was not hurt at all. And the ref steps in and stopped the fight in the 4th round. I was fuming. I was pissed off. That referee needs to be looked at. I mean, no knockdowns. No one was staggered. And he stops the fight. Hemi was protecting himself to a degree, throwing the odd shot back. But at the same time, Hemi gave the referee an excuse to stop the fight by not being aggressive enough, not throwing enough punches, and not defending himself well enough. So I was pissed that the ref stopped the fight as it was, but Hemi's got to take some of the blame for this at the same time. I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch between these two, but I don't see that happening. Now, once again, I don't know what the hell Lou DiBella's doing. He is the promoter for Hemi Ahio, and this fight, once again, was not televised on the US portion. I don't know if it was televised. No, it wouldn't have been. I don't think it would have been televised in the UK either. It is still available on TVNZ on demand, but I think that's only in New Zealand you can watch it. So I might go and record that fight and put a copy of it up on Discord for y'all to watch if you haven't been able to see it. Yeah, I was very disappointed in Hemi's performance, but also disappointed in the referee at the same time. But I do have to say it, Whainga Apilu, I've always said he's a fun fighter. He always comes to fight. He got the win on paper, so big congratulations to Django. Where he goes from here, I'm not sure. There's a few fights possibly available for him in Australia. There's Dempsey McKean, but we're going to get on to him because he had a fight this weekend. Justice Huni looks like he's going to be fighting Maurice Breedis, so maybe that's out, and he's already fought him anyway. But yeah, there's maybe he could fight what's that other dude's name? Joseph Goodall? Is it Joseph? Yeah, I think it's Joseph Goodall, and I think he's actually already fought him too. But there's a few fights around. There's also Kiki To'olatali from New Zealand, 6'4" heavyweight. He could fight him. He could fight Junior Farr as well, couldn't he? If Junior's ever going to come back. So we'll just see what happens in the future with Whainga Django Apilu. Where to for Hemi from here? Man, he's got to get his shit together. He's got to get his shit together and get his hunger back. He didn't look like he was hungry in that fight. He's probably carrying a little bit extra weight as well. Didn't look quite as fast, but definitely seems to be lacking hunger at the moment, man, from Hemi Ahio. Right, so Dempsey McKean had a fight on Saturday night in New Zealand here. It was Friday in UK and the States when it happened. It was on the Liam Perro and Brock Jarvis card, and well, that was an unexpected result for that fight. Liam Perro got a first round knockout over Brock Jarvis, landed a big shot and laid Brock Jarvis out. He was on his back with his hands up looking at the lights for about 3 seconds before he sort of came to, and he kind of panicked to get up, did Brock Jarvis, and he fell down again, and the referee stopped the fight. But I think even if he did manage to get up, the shot he took and how long he was looking at the lights on his back, I think he was done. It's kind of like Tyson Fury when he got laid out against Deontay Wilder in the 12th in their first fight, but Jarvis wasn't capable of getting up like Fury was. But anyways, to the Dempsey McKean fight. Dempsey McKean fought this guy Patrick Corte, a German fighter who's never fought outside of Germany. He was 18-1-1. He had been stopped once, but yeah, it was kind of meant to be a showcase fight for Dempsey McKean, but it was ugly. Patrick Corte is hella aggressive. He came forward throwing shitloads of punches. Dempsey McKean does not have an inside game whatsoever. So it was Lots of hugging, lots of pushing. Dempsey got growled by the ref a couple of times for two-hand pushing, trying to get some space. And after maybe a round and a half, you could see Corte was starting to get a little bit tired. His feet weren't able to keep up as well with Dempsey trying to move back. So Dempsey got a little bit more space to box how he wanted to box. And he started landing good right hands, the odd left hook. His jab was working okay. And then he landed a big right hand and put Corte down for good. It was done. In the third round, that was the end of that. Now, Dempsey McKean apparently has been promised a bigger fight because he is a matchroom fighter under Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn was there in Australia for the card. And, you know, the commentators are Anthony Joshua. They just can't stop saying his name for Dempsey McKean. But, you know, the likes of Dillian White or Anthony Joshua, I mean, there ain't a lot more to pick from at Matchroom anymore when it comes to heavyweights, is there? Most of them are left. So he's been promised a bigger name. We'll see what happens for Dempsey McKean. I didn't see really any improvement from Dempsey. He's always been a long, gangly, clumsy kind of fighter, and he's never had an inside game whatsoever. If a fighter doesn't give him a space, he's got nothing. So that's just my opinion of Dempsey McKean. I do hope he can improve. He does have a new coach. I think it's what's his name, Sims, Tony Sims. I think is training him now in the UK. So yeah, we'll see where he goes. Oh, Dempsey McKean, 6'6" southpaw, can be difficult for a lot of people, but I don't see him being a world champion unless he can manage to time a fighting for a vacant belt against somebody or something. I think it's going to come sooner or later. These 4 belts are all going to get split up depending on what happens. I know Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk are going to try get it on early next year sometime in the first quarter. Whoever wins that is likely going to have some kind of rematch in the contract. These governing bodies are going to be starting to get impatient for a while. We haven't seen a mandatory fight since, well, for the WBC we saw Dillian White take on Tyson Fury, but it's been a fair while since anybody's fought for those 3 belts that Usyk is holding. Kubrat Pulev for the IBF, I believe, was the last mandatory. The WBA is probably going to be next. I think the last WBA mandatory for the super title was Alexander Povetkin against Anthony Joshua. That's going back a way long time, so there's still a bit of confusion with the WBA. Daniel Dubois has that regular title. Michael Hunter was supposed to be fighting a final eliminator against Hughie Fury, who's pulled out for a second time with the illness, so Michael Hunter will be moving on. But you know, the confusion is if Michael Hunter gets in the final eliminator, who's he going to be? What belt is he going to be mandatory for if he wins? Or are they going to put Michael Hunter in against Daniel Dubois, and whoever wins that fight becomes mandatory for the super title? That would make the most sense for me. Since Hughie Fury's out of the picture, they should just order Dubois and Hunter, and whoever wins that becomes mandatory for the super title, and then they can get rid of that stupid regular belt. But shit, common sense doesn't often win with the WBA, does it? So we'll see what happens. The WBC, hopefully, that's going to be unified with the other belts. But yeah, if Fury and Usyk fight and there's a rematch involved, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the governing bodies decides to not sanction a rematch and strip the champion. As we know, Filip Hrgovic has a mandatory position. Joe Joyce has a WBO mandatory position. Filip Hrgovic's the IBF. And like I say, we don't have a mandatory for the WBA unless they want to turn around and call the WBA regular title holder and Daniel Dubois the mandatory for the super title. So we'll just see what happens. Yeah, it is what it is. So a couple of other fights I wanted to touch on that aren't here. Oh, actually, David Naika had a fight. Let me bring it up. I can't remember the guy's name. Someone Titi. Motosaka Titi, that's his name. Two Kiwi boys. Motosaka Titi. 4-0. 4 knockouts. Hadn't really fought anybody. He looked like a bit of a counter puncher. I'd never seen him before. I think it was a cruiserweight fight. Just bringing the card up again, sorry. David Naika. Yeah, David Naika's moved to 4-0 now. Titi Motosaka was the guy's name. He was 4-0. And you can see Naika was trying to set up the right hand all night, and it was very basic. He'd stab the jab out and throw the right hand over the top. Stab something to the body, stab a jab to the body, and then go back to jab right hand over the top. This Motosaka guy was trying to move his head a little bit, trying to get close enough to throw a decent punch. He landed a couple of punches in the first round, but nothing substantial. His feet weren't quick enough. David Naika is too fast for him. But eventually, one of those right hands getting set up with the jab landed, laid Titi Motosaka out. He was literally out. David Naika, being a good sport, took a knee in the corner, waited until his opponent was given the AOK, and yeah, that was that. So David Naika gets his knockout. Something that neither Deontay Wilder nor Caleb Plant did. Both of their opponents were laid out badly, but neither of them, they started celebrating straight away, didn't give a shit about their opponent. More so with Caleb Plant, he was told even to settle down while Anthony Durrell was getting tended to, make sure he's alright, but he didn't give a shit. What a piece of crap. You know, I didn't like that from either of those guys. But anyways, it was what it was. Right, so there was another fight with another Kiwi involved on this Devin Haney card. Whereas it's Lorenzo Simpson, hot American prospect, very skilled, southpaw, very quick. I don't think he has the greatest power, but he has enough. This fight was a middleweight fight. He took on a guy called Marcus Haywood. Now, all the bookies had Lorenzo Simpson's favourite method of victory as a knockout in this fight, and I know who Marcus Haywood was. I've seen him a couple of times. In particular, I saw him fight Bowen Morgan a while back, and I thought he beat Bowen Morgan. He's very durable. He's actually got a bit of skill. He throws heavy punches, but he was way out of his skill depth in this. Like I said, Lorenzo Simpson is very skilled, but Marcus Haywood, credit to him, he gave a really good account of himself. He was landing some good punches on Simpson here and there, but Simpson was attacking his body all night and put him down, I think it was twice, due to body shots in the fight. Basically getting in and out of range as he pleased Simpson. He was taking a shot here and there, but he seems to have an okay chin. Some of the shots that Hayward was landing upstairs was very heavy. Hayward was landing some very good body shots at the same time. I could hear the Australian commentators were extremely surprised. This guy was supposed to be not that good, but he's been competitive with this American star. So personally, I had picked Simpson by decision due to the fact I knew Hayward was durable and I knew he was coming to try and win. He wasn't going to lay down like some bitch ass. So that was actually a pretty good fight to watch. I enjoyed that Lorenzo Simpson and Marcus Hayward fight, even though Marcus Hayward was way out of his depth, gave a really good account of himself. So big ups to Marcus Hayward. I would like to see him get a Bowen Morgan rematch because I thought he got absolutely robbed against Bowen Morgan. I thought, because they had an 8-round fight, I thought Hayward won either 5 or 6 rounds, and they gave it a split decision win to Bowen Morgan. And then Bowen Morgan went on to bigger and better things. That was his ticket to go over to Australia and get some better fights. It could have been Marcus Hayward in there against Tim Sue, instead of Bowen Morgan. So it was what it was. What else did I want to touch on? I guess I better talk about the main event that nobody wanted to see. Devin Haney and George Kambosos. Ended up a unanimous decision. I don't think there's many people who are picking anything different. But George was trying to be a bit more aggressive through rounds 8 and 9. But rounds 9, 10 and 11, it was looking like he might get knocked out. It was getting pretty close to getting knocked out, man. So Devin Haney put on a slightly improved performance, I thought. He won the fight pretty wide on the scorecards. 119, 109, 118, 110, and 118, 110. I think 118, 110. So I think the judges may have even given George a sympathy round there. I thought maybe he won round 8, but I think that's the only round he came close to winning. The fans' general consensus was 119, 109, so that's 1 round to Kambosos. So yeah, it is what it is. Finally, Devin Haney, the undisputed lightweight champion, is free and clear to do whatever the fuck he wants, but no doubt there's going to be an order come from one of those bodies sooner or later. I think Lomachenko is in action next weekend, so get their timetables pretty similar, and I think Top Rank are going to make that fight sooner or later. One of the governing bodies may even order it, so like I say, we'll just see what happens there. What else was there? I thought Junlong Jang was supposed to be fighting this weekend in Canada, and I'm sure the date was right, but it's been moved to the 29th of October now, so we missed that one. We didn't get it, but a bit more time for Junlong Jang might be of benefit to him. Fat shit needs to bring his weight down. He's weighing in the 280s these days, and he's only 6'3". Whereas early in his career he was around 250. So he was a much more effective fighter when he was down at around 250. So yeah, and he's also 40 years old. He's another Chinese fighter. No relation of Zhili Zhang, but even though they have the same name, pretty common name like Smith in China, I think. And what else was there? Was there anything else? Oh, of course, we've got 2 undisputed women's champions. Now we have Clarissa Shields managed to get a split decision win over Savannah Marshall. I was actually picking a unanimous decision for that one, but I always knew it was going to be fairly close. Savannah Marshall was more aggressive than most had seen her in the past, trying to keep Shields working, try and gas her out. I thought the scores were pretty fair. Give me a sec here. Find it. Savannah Marshall box rec. Right, let's have a look. Oh no, I thought it was a split decision win, but it's unanimous. What? Oh no, the other one was split, wasn't it? Yeah, the Baumgartner and Mayer fight was split. So what was I looking at? Trying to find a score. Oh, that was Michaela Mayer. There we go. Yeah, Clarissa was counterpunching well. She'd get backed up in a corner, wait for Savannah to throw something, and then she'd throw a flurry. And I think she was more accurate than Savannah was. Savannah was just trying to make Shields work, and it was working to a degree, but Clarissa was still managing to take enough rests. Okay, so our scores were 97, 93, 97, 93, and 96, 94. So one judge had it just one round difference from a draw. But Clarissa definitely won the fight in my eyes. Either 6-4 or 7-3, like the judges have it. I thought it was fair judging for that one. No qualms with that whatsoever. So, yes, Clarissa Shields becomes undisputed in her third division. She's now middleweight undisputed champion as well. I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch between those two, actually, to be fair. I think for both girls, there's no one else at middleweight that's really on their level, so why not have a rematch? Shit, even a trilogy if Marshall can get one back. Make the most out of it while you can, girls. But the other fight, Michaela Mayer v Alicia Baumgartner, was a very competitive fight. I thought Michaela Mayer just pipped it. I had it 96-94 Michaela, but I'm not going to argue with the scores weren't too far off. These bloody judges. It's called a 10-point must scoring system. There was no knockdowns in the fight, and two of them gave it 95-96 to Baumgartner. So I don't like when judges do that. If you're gonna score drawn rounds, you shouldn't be refereeing, because it's a 10-point must system. The only way you can have drawn rounds, in my opinion, is if both fighters get knocked down in a round. I don't like this drawn shit. It messes up scorecards. So one of the judges had 97-93 to Mayer. I thought that was... Well, it's only one round different to what I had it, but I didn't think Mayer won that many clear rounds, to be honest. Yeah, Alicia Baumgartner was dangerous in the first few rounds, and Michaela Mayer knew it. I think I gave the first round, or the first couple rounds to Alicia Baumgartner. Gave the third to Mayer. Maybe even the fourth to Mayer as well. I think I had it 2-2, and then I gave, I think, the fifth and sixth also to Mayer, but then gave the 7th, 8th and 9th to Baumgartner. So that was the 4 rounds I gave Baumgartner, and I gave Mayer the last round as well, I think. So it was what it was, but yeah, pissed off when these judges give drawn rounds, man. It really does screw things up. But it is what it is. It's on paper. It's done now, isn't it? So it is all good. It was a UD. Yeah, I got them mixed up. The split was the Mayer and Baumgartner fight. That's right. I agree. I had Mayer winning, but it was close. Yeah, that's why. If it's close, I'm not going to argue too much. But you know, we all have different things that we like. You know, there's the 4 scoring criteria for fights. Everybody's supposed to adhere to those, but some people see effective punches as better scoring than 3 or 4 jabs. You know, one effective punch outscores 3 or 4 jabs. Some people score body shots a lot higher than they do headshots. It is what it is. We're all different. We all got our own opinions, just like arseholes. Everyone's got one. But yeah, so I think that's about it. That was worth mentioning over the weekend that I can touch on. I thought wasn't expecting Caleb Plant to knock out Anthony Durrell. Durrell was making it competitive, but in the end he got caught with a good straight right hand from Caleb Plant, and Caleb Plant gets the knockout. What was it, in the 9th round or something? Let me go back to that card. Can't type. There we go, found it finally. Right, yeah, so Caleb Plant got the knockout. It was in the 9th round. I just want to have a look at these scores actually, if they've got this. Yeah, they do have the scores up, because I had it pretty tight. I thought Caleb was winning, but not by a lot. So just looking at the scores here. First round 10-9, 10-9, 10-9, 10-9, 10-9. This is the fans' score. Holy moly. The fans gave every round to Caleb Plant prior to the knockout. So they had 80 points to 73. Or 72. Oh, I thought there was a couple of rounds at least that Durrell punched in there, but yeah, I'll call him muff face. Well, Caleb Plant was boxing on the back foot a lot, and Durrell was having trouble closing the gap and getting inside on Caleb Plant. And that's where you want to be against Caleb Plant. You don't want to give him space. You want to get him against the ropes and beat the shit out of his body. Wear him down so he can't run away all night. It is what it is. Anthony Durrell probably retire after that. Well, he's 38 years old or something like that. So that's what it is. Gary Antonio Russell took a loss. Technical decision against Emmanuel Rodriguez. Rodriguez won the first, I think it was 5 rounds, pretty easily. Gary was getting told in the corner by Gary Russell, his brother, that you're going to have to start doing something. He did come out and won, I think it was the 6th or 6th round. And then he continued to try in the 7th. I think it was the 7th. He got caught with a good right hand, and he was hurt bad. He went down, tried to get up, and then fell back on his face, and then managed to get up just at the end of the round. I think there was still 1 second left on the clock, and they both went back to their corners. The referee didn't hear a bell for the end of the 7th. But in the very next round, I think in the 8th round, no, it was the 9th round, there was a big head clash. Gary Antonio was getting pretty desperate, lunging in badly, and he lunged in with his head, big headbutt that cut Rodriguez underneath his eye on the right hand side, I think, left side. And he did a bit of a soccer Hollywood. And then the round ended and the doctor had a look. and Rodriguez said, no, I can't continue. You know, he knew he was ahead on the cards. It's an accidental headbutt according to the referee, so all he had to say was, I can't continue, and he wins the fight on points, technical decision. That was in the 10th round, so yeah. Smart from Rodriguez, not so much so from Gary Antonio, letting the fight get away from him those early rounds. Let it got away from him. He ended up in desperation mode. It was his fault that the headbutt happened. You can see it clearly on the replay. So Gary Antonio Russell takes his first loss. Emmanuel Rodriguez moves on to 21-2. What else? We'll see anything. We covered the Sanchez fight. There was Vito Melnicki in there as well. He got a UD win over 10 rounds over Limburg Ponce. Didn't even watch it. I don't know who he was, but I didn't watch it. Actually, there was one other fight. We've got a Emmanuel Augustus bloody impersonator. I'm just trying to remember which guy it was. Where is it? Must have been on that. Oh, Michael Rivera had a fight this weekend as well. He got a UD win over 8 over Jerry Perez. That would have been expected. Where's this other dude? I think he was on the Aussie card, actually. I think he was on the Cambosis card. Let me have a look. But this guy was actually doing a pretty good impression of Emmanuel Augustus. Once he got ahead in the fight and was confident, he started showing up to the crowd, and he was actually doing a pretty good job. I mean, doing the dancing, the bolo punches out of dancing stances. Antonio Salgado, no, that wasn't him. Where is it? That's not the card. That's Stephen Haney's record. Dumbass. Here we go. Here's the card. Where is it? It's one of these early ones. Wasn't John Marnie? Where is it? Last TK. Oh, sure it was on this one. Andre Jones. That wasn't him. Who was it? Sure as shit wasn't Shanika Johnson. Oh, that was actually another one worth mentioning. A woman's fight. Shanika Johnson. Young Māori world champion from Tauranga, now residing in Australia, as she took on veteran Susie Ramadan in a super bantamweight title fight for the IBF world title fight. Shanika Johnson got a badass cut in about the 3rd round. Yeah, it must have been about the 3rd round, maybe the 4th. A badass cut, bleeding straight into her eye. There's freaking blood all over the place, but credit to Shanika, man. She started throwing a lot more punches, being a lot more aggressive, and credit to her corner as well. They took care of the cut pretty well. For the next couple of rounds after she did get cut, it was pumping out all over the place. She was wearing a white top as well, so that was pretty pink by the end of it. But one funny thing, the doctor had a look at the cut straight after at the end of the round, straight after it was done, and they were trying to get her to quit, but it would have been a no contest because it was before the end of the 4th round. So yeah, it wasn't the 3rd round. It's before the end of the 4th round, so it would have been a no contest. but she wanted to fight through, and then if the fight had got stopped in the 5th round, I think she might have actually lost, because there was a good couple of rounds in there that Ramadan had won off her. They call her Susie Q. But anyway, Shanika wasn't having it. She fought through it, and after a couple of rounds they managed to stem most of the bleeding. By the end of the rest of the rounds there was a little drip of blood every now and then, but she didn't let it faze her. She kept pouring it on and kept making the veteran make mistakes. Susie got a point taken off for hitting behind the head. I think she got a second point taken off for punching after the ref had said break as well. So she was pretty pissed off, but it was a gruesome fight to watch, man. It was pretty awesome. It was. They had the Andrew Maloney and Jason Maloney fights on there. They both got wins, both by UD over 10. Who the hell was this other dude? Adari Jones, was it him? No, I'm sure he got a knockout in the end. I'm going to have to go back and find it on the TVNZ site, watch it again. Pretty sure it wasn't John Manu. Who was John Manu's opponent? No, because he won. Adrian Sosa, no, it wasn't him either. Maybe it wasn't on that card. The only one it could be, I think, is this Amari Jones. Maybe it was on the McKean card, I don't know. But yeah, it was definitely one to look out for. I'll actually drop a comment when I remember who it was. Hey, Steven in the house. What's up, bro? Good to see you in, man. Russell just couldn't deal with the counters. No, he couldn't. Yeah, he's used to being the counter puncher, because he's pretty quick, but when he has to attack, he leaves himself open badly with his lunging shots, and he really paid the price. So back to the drawing board for young Antonio Russell Jr. Gary Antonio Russell. Sorry, got that name well wrong. So yeah, that's about it for what happened over the weekend. I haven't even looked into what's happening next weekend. I haven't added up the final week of the Prediction League scores as yet. We'll get onto that today as well. But I've got to go and watch these two fights that I did miss from the PBC show. Michael Polite Coffee and Guggen Havhanesian. I've got to watch that one. And this awesome comeback fight from James Evans, getting up off the canvas to beat Giovanni Bruzon in a fight where he was getting pasted. So that's going to be fun. When I find those fights, I'll drop the links for them in the chat on Discord. If y'all haven't already, make sure you get over to Discord. The link is in the description for the Discord server. There's lots of stuff we do over there, like I said earlier on. Make sure that you hit the thumbs up, hit subscribe, and the bell, so not to miss future content. And one more time, for everybody else, Robert Hellenius.
You got knocked the fuck out.
And that's it for today. Hope you all have enjoyed. I'll catch you next time. I'm Johnny from Big Boys Boxing, and I'm out. See you.
So that's us for today. I hope you have enjoyed. You can show your appreciation with a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Be sure to check out our Discord community, where you can find boxing news, fight links, live streamed fights, and much more. So look after yourself and your family. I'm Jono from Big Boys Boxing, and I'm out. See you!